Hello and welcome to a live coding session. Today we'll be working on some Python and Django. Just having just a little bit of troubles with my stream settings. I've got to figure out a different way to encode video while recording and streaming. In OBS, having troubles with hardware encoding, so I'm having to rely on that software encoding, which might affect the quality of this stream. But in any case, I wanted to start before too much time passed. Today we'll be working on the companionship care project. I've got, there's two active issues right now. Both of them are relating to the user passwords, allowing the user to reset their password in case they've forgotten it, and allowing the logged in user to change their password. I've assigned this task to myself, and we've got a volunteer who offered to take this password reset feature, Marsudo Munyao Kelvin from Nairobi, Kenya. So today we'll be first looking at a pull request for the reset password feature. It's got a couple of linting issues. And before I begin, sorry for the delay, I'm just going to grab a little bit of tea. I'll be right back. All right, thanks for waiting. So it looks like they've changed 17 files. I'm going to just do a regular pull request process that you might experience with any organization using GitHub, based on the current practices to which I'm accustomed. Not every organization does the same workflow, but increasingly organizations are using some kind of continuous integration process to test code, make sure it meets certain quality standards. And let's see, I'll approve and run these. Let me make sure I've got the chat doc over here. There it is. Okay, cool. Somehow my chat keeps disappearing. Boink. Alright, there we go. I upgraded OBS to the latest version, 28. There's some significant changes, and including one I really appreciate, the YouTube chat has integrated, like I can send messages now. It used to be I could only see the message, couldn't respond in the chat. That's integrated with the OBS. But in the process of upgrading some other things, my profiles needed a little bit of tweaking, and the encoding the videos is causing a little bit of a problem. I think it's because it switched the default to using hardware encoding, and my graphics drivers might not have the necessary features for hardware encoding. So what we'll do is, a lot of times I can just start right in the GitHub interface when reviewing code. One of the drawbacks of just using GitHub interface is it sort of shows the files alphabetically. So it doesn't really have any kind of meaningful ordering other than just alphabetized by folder and file name. So I can see all the changes are in our project folder because that's where our source code resides. Some changes are in our accounts app, which is one that's been where we define the user model and have interactions like logging in, logging out, changing password. But it looks like there's some core settings that have changed and URLs that have been added. And then a new app has been introduced for password changing. And I believe that since the password is relating to the user account, all of the logic for changing passwords should probably be just part of the accounts app. We don't really need another app just for one kind of feature of an account related feature. So that'll be like kind of the first feedback I'll offer. So then the other thing, let's go ahead and take a look through these. Got a red lint issue there, so that'll have to be fixed. I believe the code climate will kind of catch those. We have some linting and stuff in place. We're trying to improve the quality of the code. Some styles written here, kind of inline styles, form related styles, probably aren't necessary. Another couple missing lines, and empty views.py. So I think what I'm going to first suggest is that we remove the password app, move everything over to accounts. Accounts views. Then basically we don't need sort of these. Oh, they can move into the accounts view instead of a core URL. They should be part of the accounts views. There's some few lines added here. I'll just recommend that we remove these. Some white space, like there was something there. So another nice feature of GitHub is it lets you add suggestions. So I can suggest it by typing a message, but also this code fence with the suggestion tag will give the opportunity to just commit that. It's a diff. It'll provide a diff that can be added to a batch and committed or removed or ignored. But in this case, that's or you can do it manually. Is what I was trying to say. So let's take a look top to bottom. We have some migrations in the user account. We've got a migration that adds a field to the user model, and that's the isActive field. It's a Boolean, true or false. Now I believe our abstract user model should already have that isActive field. Maybe I'm mistaken. So that's migration number 6 in the accounts app. Here's migration number 7 in the accounts. They rename this migration renames the model field isActive to just active. And then migration 8 removes the active field. So it's kind of like basically these migrations are kind of a no-op. They add a field, rename that field, and then remove that renamed field. So in that way, we don't need these migrations. So how do I say? Yep. And I can help with this, so that's why I'm saying let's or please but I'm also, I can step in and move pull requests forward, and there's no problem with that. It's just nice to be able to work in parallel. All right, so that was like just blank lines. All right, cool. So now we have a password change view. Here's where I think we're a little bit off course. Account related features. I'm getting used to two keyboards, switching between keyboards at work and at home. Let's keep, well, let's add the I can see the benefit of adding a new app in a way, because it's kind of clean. You don't have to worry about what's going on in the other app. But at the same time, well, there was some consideration of the model, the user model. Oh, here's one thing I should do is I can now say viewed, and this will clean up our review process a bit. Viewed. I viewed this. I think view names are typically hyphenated by convention in this project. We'll add localization. Let me double check here real quick. So if I bring up the code view and just look at our project, and let's go to view accounts and look at URLs. Sign up user -profile. Conventions, consistency is a good thing. Hyphens versus underscores in this case is not a deal breaker, but I do just want to keep things consistent. So I'm just being direct, not meaning to be rude, just kind of, and trying to be helpful at the same time. What do you call that, kebab case? Kebab case? Yeah. Well. Yeah. Same thing here. Actually, just more succinctly. And another thing is lint, but double quotes instead of single quotes. If we're running black on the code base, it should automatically pick those types of things up. Okay, so back here I can remember. Oh yeah, it's allowing me to mark them as viewed, even when I'm halfway down there. Awesome. Password change. Oh, but more importantly, actually, localization support. So that's a little bit different, and it might actually cause a little bit of problems. But let me make sure I do this right. On the Nordic keyboard, you have to dance around a bit. Oh yeah, here we are. So this is correct. Make sure I don't have any typos here. So we're just trying to introduce, probably had a typo there, localization support into the project, and every UI text now should have localization added during the pull request, not as an afterthought. It's baked into the core. I don't see where this is used. Maybe I'm missing it. I like that we're using core views. Kind of avoid the not invented here syndrome. And I think just using black to format the code will make a big improvement. I'll mention that. We don't need any of this. It has helper methods for all of those. So just got to kind of look through the bootstrap docs a bit, but it's there. I'll mention that. So for example, sizing. Spacing. Basic layout. All right, takes you to the first section. That's, I think, probably good enough. It's a one-liner, basically. We got form-crispy. I think it's just... Oh, where are we at? Double. Pipe. Let me double check. Oh, man. Oh, goodness. Nordic keyboards. Let me see where I'm using it here, how I'm using it here. That is. Well, typically I've used it that way. Either way is cool though. Look for the pipe character maybe. Well, you'll have to Didn't delete anything, so that's fine. This appears a link to the home page, not the profile page, so it'd be confusing from an end user perspective. The correct destination. Whoops. Basically front page with home page. All right, so overall, I mean, it's a good pull request. It's good that we don't really need much custom code here, and really less is more. So even with the styles, using Bootstrap for the very reason that I don't have to write a lot of custom code, not for the minimum viable, and really I haven't bumped into major difficulties with the style, or even with the style looking like other sites, like it's commonly claimed when using Bootstrap. I think enough sites use their own styles now that Bootstrap defaults aren't really that common, maybe. But what we do get is some very convenient and powerful, well-written styles that include responsiveness. That's very hard to pin down. A lot of edge cases. We have components like modal dialogues, which are also surprisingly nuanced, and so these have been under evolution for a while. So yeah, we don't really need to fight the DOM in our case, and changing font sizes and using pixel. Well, I guess for fonts and padding margins, pixels are okay, but you start to get into responsiveness issues when you start using pixel values. So we just avoid a lot of foot guns. And that means that as developers, we are able to write code at a professional level because we're at a level that far exceeds our own individual capacity. No matter how far along we are, how senior we are, the more code we write, sort of the less effective we are. If we're able to leverage code from an existing ecosystem and code that's been vetted and has been evolved through the efforts of many, many people, we're going to be much more powerful and effective as developers. We kind of think of a developer as the idealized developer, somebody who can just write their own operating system from scratch, or some kind of build everything from scratch, just kind of going in there gunslinging. But really, I think professional developers, as we grow and when we become more effective, we learn to utilize existing abstractions, conventions, and the ecosystem. And so I just really, for that reason, I've used Django, Bootstrap. They're kind of boring in terms of on your CV maybe, and they're not maybe as high demand. But what you learn and the benefits you gain are pretty profound. And the experience you gain is perfectly valid on your CV and will open many doors. And the lessons you learn are applicable in other frameworks, in other environments. And in fact, once you've gotten accustomed to a framework with batteries included mentality and mindset and ethos like Django, then if you go into these other ecosystems or other projects, you'll be surprised at how much is lacking and how much that means that the developers, very skilled and intelligent people, how much they get bogged down with low-level details that would otherwise be pretty much solved by any major framework. Not just Django, but Ruby on Rails or Laravel come to mind, that have a more broad base of functionality. And that means you can focus your limited time and effort on features that are unique to your product or business, and not so much at the framework layer. It's a mindset shift that's it kind of transcends. It's transcendent, you could say. So there we go. That's how essentially we review code. Intended. Well, backhand is much simpler language. Or about how we can VS Code out format, let's say. Automatically format code, it's not just black. Cool beans. So and they're really just minor. suggestions. It's just kind of, like I said, reducing the amount of code, and we don't need a new app. We can just use our existing accounts app. We don't need custom styles at this point. Bootstrap's pretty effective and does pretty much all the things that I was noticing the styles can already do, changing padding, font sizes, that stuff. So just kind of digging a little bit more into the Bootstrap framework rather than using the knowledge of CSS, which is also really valuable, but it's unneeded. And those can start to become rabbit holes. We can get into fighting the layout and stuff like that, where they've already pretty much been solved by our CSS framework. Most of what we'll try to do is just there, and it's in a declarative way. But yeah, cool, very nice. I like this. This is I'm really grateful to Munyao Kelvin for this contribution. And it'll be really useful. Passwords, it's easy to forget your password. You need to reset that on occasion, especially if you don't come back to a site for a while or for whatever reason. So I'm going to take a quick break, refresh my cup of tea, and come back and work on a password feature with the ability for logged in users to change their password. So adding basically a field to the profile page, something like that. We'll follow as much as we can the Django framework conventions. There should be some code in there already. All right, stick around for just one moment while I refresh my tea. Thanks for your patience. Okay, yes, so we're going to work on this change passwords. Slightly different than reset password. So I think there's a bit of confusion. Make sure, because one of these is the one I'll take, the other one. So and we got failing jobs. I wonder what jobs are failing. So yeah, the lint, but black will fix that. So we failed the checkout stage. Okay, let me just look at this a little bit closer. I was giving it a very surface level scan, mainly code styling, but not the deeper level where I get in there and test out the functionality and make sure that the problem is being solved. So that's there's layers to these pull requests, but a lot of times in my first pass, I will glance the code style and semantics, structure, architectural things, high level. And since there were so many details at that point that needed sort of improvement, I didn't quite dig in, but this whole file is unnecessary. What I'm trying to get at is the view. Templates not needed. So the URLs, since none of this was really necessary. Core URLs were modified using, I thought this was the reset password flow. Password change view. Very cool. So if that's the case, then honestly, the reset one's, I think, a bit more complex. Yeah, it's still, I believe, covered in Django core. It just needs things like you got to think about the email flow. But yeah, password change view, password change done view. Yeah, and that's cool. This doesn't have to be a field on the profile. It can be just a separate link, which reminds me. How did the user get here? So let's look these up in the Django docs, because for some reason GitHub is not. Django password reset view. Too many tabs open. It's probably doing exactly what it says in the tin, allowing users to reset their password, though, not set or not change, right? Reset. Now that's the flow. You click a link, you get in the browser. It says I forgot my password. Then you check your email, sends you an email, and you check your email. You get a message with a link. You click that link to come back to the website with like a one-time token deal. It'll display a form there for you to change your password. Once you've done that, then it'll show you the done reset password. I believe that's what we're supposed to do. Password change. Done password change view. Okay, but no, again, let me just copy paste because I'm searching for the wrong thing. I'll search in the docs. Okay. Okay. I don't understand how it's getting hit. Auth views come from Django control auth. No, man. Give me some docs in this. Usually Django's got better docs than this. This is cool. See, that's a nuance that maybe you would encounter if you were kind of doing things from scratch. All right, so it's in a couple of places. But yeah, so it looks like there was a little bit of signal crossing. So what we'll do, because they did ask to be assigned here, I'll assign myself, and then go back here, and they did create a pull request for this one, and just swap it around, no problem. A little bit of a shell game, and one other thing that's handy. If when you're creating a pull request, you mention closes or fixes number, issue number, in this case, ability to change password, then you can automatically close the issue. My mouse is being screwy. When the pull request is merged, and this is okay, it doesn't have to be done that exact way. Which is another possible oversight here. It's like, how is the user going to get to the change password page? I'll just add one more. Wait, there was a link somewhere. Sorry, I'm hopping back and forth, but let me just scroll down. There was one where they were generating URL. Yeah, I don't see it. Because I commented about kebab casing. Oh, it's right here. Yeah. Which was kind of why I was originally thinking just to put it on the profile page itself. That could be I could see that could be confusing. The form itself as an extra field. Okay. In this case, I'll leave it. I had a drop-down menu as an enhancement following up. It's too probably confusing right now for me to describe the idea, but essentially it's on the nav menu. There's a link to view or edit your own profile, and Then you go to the profile page. We can edit your details, and now we'll have a link on that profile page to the edit password field. So it's like 2 clicks away with a page refresh or page load in between. So, you know, 1-click solution would be to have the password as a field on that profile, but it's probably more complicated than it sounds. So the other solution is to have a kind of a profile page where you edit your personal details, and a change password page where you change your password, which is essentially what we've got here. But I don't want necessarily that link to change password to be sort of page load, click away, because you have to kind of find that link in the page. So it's like a click edit profile, scan the page, click change password, fill in the form, click save. So I think the idea would be just to have a drop-down menu on the navigation underneath your name. When you click your name, you'll say edit profile, change password. Easier to find the change password link. Still 2 clicks, but no page load and no page scan, visual scan with your eyes when you're reading the thing. So it's an enhancement. I'll come back to it. This is already a good contribution. Okay, cool. So we've sorted the confusion around who's doing what. We'll check it out. I'll see if they take the initiative there. But these checkboxes are important too. You can kind of really describe your. They should be used at a high level. Like the user should be able to change their password. The user should be able to get to the password change page from the navigation menu, something like that. I've sort of described them imperatively instead of as requirements. Small distinction in the difference in language, but when you do the imperative approach, it can be tempting to do basically prescribe a solution. And a lot of development tasks, there's multiple solutions, and it's very good to give the developer the opportunity to devise their own solution, and hopefully encouragement to explore the solution space, compare different solutions, pros and cons. There's no perfect solution. Everything has trade-offs. Some trade-offs are worse than others, and then decide on an appropriate solution and implement that. If I take the imperative approach where I say do this, then this, then this, I've sort of constrained the development flow, and maybe what I originally thought of as the right way overlooked some trade-off that had we taken another way we wouldn't have had to make. So anyway, it's double-edged sword. So giving first-time contributor clear steps to follow on one hand, if they're even using the tasks, but also kind of it can be a foot gun and not so fun for the developer if they're just saying do this like some sort of, yeah, anyway, some sort of drone or somebody. So you want to have some creativity in the way you solve things, right, as a developer. Minor suggestions for change. Minor change suggestions. They are truly minor. The pull request is in good shape. Okay, but it takes a little bit. So that's been an hour just doing a kind of a high level look at a pull request. But it's time well spent because that pays dividends when you have developers who are in the habit of peer reviewing. When you're solving a problem, you're in a different mindset than when you come to review a pull request with fresh eyes. And you're often, when you're solving a problem, you're encountering some really complex stuff in details and syntax errors, all sorts of stuff that takes a lot of mental effort and can keep you from seeing, the bigger picture. You might have glanced at the bigger picture and then zoomed in on one particular solution, which I think was the case here in a couple ways by creating the new app, for example. We didn't quite need that. But now that I'm able to take the bigger view, I can put it in perspective. Well, we've already got the Accounts app, so let's just move the code you've written, which is good code. Let's just move it over to the Accounts app. Just a small change means less code overall. Same solution, just a smaller change. So I'm just kind of explaining my thought process here. Now let's take a look at my thought process as I go into the weeds with a password reset feature. My first instinct is to say, how do you reset passwords in Django? Somebody's probably done this. Okay, so yeah, it sounds like this. According to ordinary coders. Add a reset password URL in the main URL spy. Makes sense. Probably I'll put it in the Accounts app in our case because that's where accounts related things reside. Send a reset password email through views. Okay. Configure settings to send emails. And in this case, we won't have a mail server or SMTP as a service, sort of a transactional email service. It's just going to run in my local development environment. But that's one of the reasons we haven't tackled this task so far, is because you'll need to send emails. And that adds a level layer or a new component of complexity to the project, which we haven't really wanted to cross until this point, and then test it out. So that sounds like pretty good steps with a little bit of modification. Let's see, there's a tutorial there. And there's a Django password reset package. I'm surprised if this isn't part of core. I like dev community. I'm just going to do a scan of all of these. See how other people are solving it. I'm surprised if this isn't already part of Django core though. I think it was, in fact. Reset. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to kind of, we don't need a package for this. We don't need a third-party code. We can use first-party code. And really, I should have just, in the beginning of the project, in fact, in the boilerplate, probably have included all of these. URLs, log in, log out. Well, I've got those. Password changed? No, I didn't quite do that, but we've got that done. And see how it's using just accounts here. That's why I created the account app. Same reason. Everything's grouped under accounts. So I'm basically following conventions with Django docs. In that sense, now we're going to look at password reset and password reset done. But also, we'll need password reset confirm and password reset complete. There's subtlety here. Because essentially you'll go to a page, prompt it to do your reset. And on this page, it's just going to say, hey, what's your email? You'll submit this page and you'll say, okay, we've sent you an email. And that email is going to have a link with a special token in there. And whatever this is. Interesting. 64-bit and then a token. Wow, very complicated. When the user clicks on that link, they'll get a confirmation. It'll probably at that point prompt them for a new password. At which point they submit that form and go to done. So it's a 4-step process. It's more complicated, but since we're using Django, boom, it just gives us views out of the box. Really cool. Because that stuff, I don't really want to spend my mental effort to come up with a subpar solution where there's already one that's vetted and it's been evolved and through trial and error and through contributions of many people. So there's got a lot of maturity here that even, I would take months or years on one feature to kind of get to the level of the Django password authentication flow. So why not just, or password reset or any of these? Let's figure it out. Okay, so any tutorial I'm going to use, I'm not going to use a third party for this. This is no need. And this is, maybe not fully maintained. It's marked as beta when the core already provides this. Here's one by Hannah Belay, part of a 10-part series on Django registration and login. So there's some nuance, even though Django provides those. You can see there's many steps. So interesting, using the core password reset view, but extending it. And we'll add a localization here. And probably just use a triple quote there. But I can see, I think the issue was that white space, that of a white space. So I think there's a helper function that lets you strip out leading white space from strings. I don't know. I'll take a look into that. So I'm wondering, now I like the approach here in this pull request of just defining the URL in the correct location, granted. But nonetheless, like I'm saying, I really think this is a good pull request. There's the comments I made are not criticisms; they're just subtle improvements. But check it out. Let me get the name of it. I'm slow with names. So Munyao Kelvin creates a URL path, which we'll need, and uses the view itself right here. Just calls it, invokes it as a view, and passes in the argument template name. And in that sense, we might not need, since we can pass it in here, we might not need some of these other things, unless we do want to have more fine-grained control, which makes sense. And then success URL would change, so we would need fewer URLs. So this is an alright solution too. Quite a lot of markup. I think I would probably prefer not to write so much markup and just use crispy form. And all I would need to do is add like the submit button inside the form tag. There we go, right here. So, and this is interesting. Create an account and login. Very cool. I like this overall. I should log in and follow Annabelle. Gives him props. All right, and I'll see what the default, I'm gonna keep this tab open. This is excellent. I'll see what the default message is like, but yeah, it could be really nice too. Be able to change the messaging, particularly if the user has already specified their locale. They've forgotten their password, but they know their language, right? So they know they're speaking Finnish language, for example, and they'll want to see a localized email. If that would work. I think that should be working from this session. All right, and we can localize the subject as well. This is really cool. Nice. So yeah, and you can see here process. Then they come to the, after clicking this link, they come to the page that says reset the password. I'm sure this link has an expiration. So you can see whatever this is, maybe this is a way to encode the unique identifiers, primary keys, instead of using them numerically, using them as some sort of base 64, or I don't know what that is. And then you have a UUID looking thing. So here we go. Using the same password here for the confirmation view. Yeah, don't need much more than to specify the template name as an argument. Yeah, let's start with the arguments. Yeah, what is this? What is this URL? This is good. User ID is encoded in base 64. Okay. So user IDs, I think by default are incremental. We can actually check this out. It's kind of nice to be able to dig into the framework a bit, take a couple of asides. to learn more about the tooling. I believe I have a Sqlite database, browser, and if I open database, can I open recent? We'll go to code. What are we working in? Oh, actually it's right here. It's kind of in its own thing. Companionship care project database. So I think by default, when I go to accounts user, yeah, we have this integer field. Interesting. I think this might be useful for other applications. Now this might assume, I'm not sure base64, the number 1 is just the number 1. Or if there's something different that it in a way obfuscates it. Alright, so let's hop back over here to the browser. Yeah, so with the combination of a base64 encoded user ID and a token, I mean, you can't really, and then a short lifespan, there's very little, if any, room for kind of abuse here. And this is stuff that, I could probably figure out, but it would take me much more than an hour or 30 minutes or however long it takes to go through a tutorial. Yeah, so very cool. I'm not going to go too much more into this base64 encoding, but I'm going to keep it in mind because I've gone to some lengths to obfuscate user IDs in this app already by way of example. In the person field model, I've defined the ID as a UUID field because I want to use it in the URL, but if I can just go with the default ID and base64 encode it, and it's done so in a way that is even though it's sequential, it's you can't just increment it. That'd be advantageous, and I wouldn't have to worry about these UUIDs, which are already pretty big. It's really big URLs. But this probably shows that I don't really know how base64 encoding works. But I think I'm going to look more into that in a different stream. And it comes from this. And straight out of the Django docs. What is it called? Sequential? It's kind of like this. Something short. Something short. So yeah, it is straight from the docs. Similar to the accounts views. URLs. Alright, so I'm not going to take that right away, but when I do come up with an idea, I would like to add it to the backlog. Help wanted. This may not be a good first issue. It's an enhancement. We could make our URLs just a little bit more user-friendly. Cool. Alright, my tea's depleted. Whatever, I'm out of tea. I mean to say, I'll just grab another cup and we'll be on our way. Okay, so let's roll up our sleeves and dig into the code. I've gotten some good examples here. This one's like literally quoting the docs. Explicit views, yeah. We won't want to email backend, but or to put these in the file system. I will use the console output. Here's a more concise example where we could use our bootstrap and crispy forms. And a text file is okay. A console output is all I really need. I'll just change it. I'll probably follow this. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like that one. I've actually followed and learned Django for a while. Jaysha's got a good approach using authentication URLs, it looks like. Yeah, so that would just give us the default, which would just work out of the box, but it's nice to define our own template. Hey, look, crispy. Very cool, Jaysha. Very close to the solution I'm looking for as well. And look at this, passing in the template name from the view definition. Perfect. Chef's kiss. This is good. Okay, so they're recommending doing the password reset email approach. It makes sense. Emails have a subset of HTML that they can render. What's this? Oh, but wait. I don't want to do that. Yeah, this is a bit bunch of code. I believe it should handle that for us in a class-based view. All that should exist. The password email should already be sent. So, okay. Very cool. I should try this out. In the Sqlite browser, 555. Let's see. browse table. See, they are incremental. This is a line of code, though, that I was curious about. They're using the email backend as well. So all of these all these tutorials combined give me a really clear idea of how other people are solving this same issue. In conjunction with the Django docs, I think I'll find a middle ground. Let me try something real quick. Alright, where do we get this from? URL save. Basic C1 code. There we go. So we probably don't need that since we're running the latest Django. 4.1, I think, something like that. So we do need that. Yeah, all right, let's read. Wow. But yeah, it's... I mean, somebody who knows base 64 encoding could crack this cipher pretty easily. But I like it in its conciseness, and it is a bit obfuscated. Definitely obfuscated. So I think that's a genuine improvement. These base 64 URLs are too long. UID based URLs. So I can revert that person. Pretty cool. So let's get back over here to our accounts. What we need is URLs. Oops, and tests. Don't have many tests. Don't have much functionality on the accounts. Except that, probably run a test on that. I don't know if you have any hey, DeepMind, welcome. How are you doing? If there's any sort of suggestion about testing default Django functionality like field types and stuff, I suppose if you want to enforce a schema and be alerted when changes occur in your own code, you could write a test to make sure that the fields don't change unexpectedly. Seems a bit weird, but then so would another way to solve that would be to add more sort of runtime type checking or static analysis to the project. So right now our URL patterns, let's create a branch. Ready for this? Password reset. Boom. We're gonna add 4 more URLs. So Jasha, thank you. This is a really great tutorial. I think we're gonna. Oh, I've already got accounts. But let me double check here. How are you doing, DeepMind? Are you working on any projects or learning Django, or what's on your mind? So we need 4 URLs. 4 of them. So we got reset, done. Reset with the token, reset. So there's only a few here. Django contrib import auth views. So the other pull requests will be able to kind of shoehorn on this. Let's get this stuff side by side now. And essentially what we're going to want is this times 4. Without breaking syntax. Let me just... Oh. This is going to get auto-formatted anyway. I save, right? Or do I have to? I think I might have turned out auto-formatting off, or maybe that formatting was okay. What did I do wrong here? Well, I did something wrong. Let's just do this. All right, we're going to have to change password. Actually, just going to use theirs. All right, because that's... We're not using change password here. Password reset. Password reset done. Reset UUID token. Reset done. I want them all to start with that. Password reset. Password reset. Check email. Email sent. All right. Here we go. Login. Let's see if we can get a quick list of these. Right, this is just showing us the basic ones. we don't explicitly import these. Or well, I think by default we'll just use the default templates. All right, so first you get to reset. Very cool. So right there, we should just have these. Oops. URL's working. Localhost. And so if we go to accounts, so here's where I was kind of thinking for this edit profile. I already got the drop down menu, in fact. I just need a password reset field link there and a logout. Cool, so it's actually less work than I was thinking. I could actually ask for that in the pull request. It's not too difficult to add the link there instead of on the profile page. Yeah, all right. So this would be like accounts instead of profile. Password reset. Yeah, so we're using just the default Django thing. Django administration forms. Very cool. So we'll need 4 templates. We're defining our templates here. Accounts. Now registration is a different thing. They need to be defined there. This is sort of like password reset could live here. And which will contain the form and password reset complete. Very cool. So all these will extend base HTML. So grab that, save, do that, save. All right. For just a moment, I'm gonna go full screen here. So we got password reset complete. email sent. So password reset starts you off, where you asks you to enter your email. Password reset confirm says it's the 37th, and it sends the mail. Then it asks you to change your password, gives you a form, and then it says success. All right, so all these went to base block and template block, and that's it's content. Okay. Save for some reason. It's making a paragraph. Auto completion thing. I think that's the right block. What's going on here? Hey Tigran, welcome to the live stream. How are you doing? Is it day, night where you're at? It's in the evening here. It's about 4:30. We're not working with the database right now. I want the browser. Okay, code left, browser right. Seems good. That way I'm kind of looking at the screen here. Okay. So this now, if I refresh, did I do this? In the URLs, now I need to say, hey, we actually have our own template for that. And I'll copy this in a moment, but it was like accounts, password, reset, HTML. And yeah, it's auto formatted, and black is giving us some pretty good space there on the line length. But now if I refresh this page, template name. There we go. And we got a little wrap around there. So restart the server on that one. Whoa. There we go. So there's our screen. I mean, our base HTML and the text there. So yeah, we're just going to pass this into the other ones. Boom. Boom. Repeat. We're going to repeat that action, but with a little bit of difference. So again, the flow is the way I've got it organized here. Password reset emails, and then password reset confirm, which has a form. Then password reset complete. Now we might just automatically log them in and redirect them to the home page or the people page. Not sure about that. And once they've changed their password, that's pretty strong evidence that the person owns the account. Now, none of these are going to work without forms. We'll probably want some help text, so like a header, level 1. H1, yeah, there's the abbreviation, and then translate. Reset password. Always adding translation now. Then it's just like form or paragraph. Let's go paragraph. With translation. Translate. Oh. Something like that might be user friendly. And then we're going to do form, pipe to crispy forms. Crispy, just crispy. But I need to load two things. I18N and crispy. Crispy forms tags. Developer Pro. No, you're not disturbing me. Django future in Asian region. Not so many jobs for Django in Asia. Yeah, that's an interesting metric. That's probably the case in most regions, that you won't see a lot of Django jobs. And really the market is, well, there's a lot of job offers and opportunities are frankly looking for JavaScript and React, TypeScript actually, more so than JavaScript. And so as like a freshman or somebody starting out, fresh programmer, for entry-level jobs, that's probably your safest bet. But there's a recent survey conducted by the IEEE, and it actually found that Python and SQL or SQL are two of the most in-demand languages. So yeah, it depends where you're looking for job opportunities, that's true. And if you want the safe bet, learn TypeScript and React for the front end. The problem you'll encounter very quickly is that JavaScript nor TypeScript ecosystem has a framework like Django, an opinionated framework with batteries included. There are some web frameworks, and you can write, of course, low-level functions that will return data, and there's API frameworks like available. But honestly, Python's a really safe bet, a stable and mature bet if you want to be a backend developer, and even for web applications, a web application developer or software engineer, web engineer. Django's a really good bet. Firstly, Python and Django are going to teach you they're very accessible, and they'll teach you some very important patterns for designing web applications. A lot of details have already been done for you. It'll save you a lot of time in prototyping and getting your proof of concept ready. It'll take you a long way. Just writing plain Django code with even just HTML views, you can make some very powerful and complicated applications. It will carry you. If you have an API-oriented mindset and you want to have a client, like a single page client, you can still write Python and use a framework like FastAPI, which is what I use in my day job. We use FastAPI. Honestly, I think we would have in many ways benefited if instead of FastAPI, we would maybe have a more batteries included framework. But Django doesn't have there's some nuances, and one of the things is Django doesn't support asynchronous code sort of out of the box. It's been developed in a context of synchronous code, meaning one thing runs and the next thing runs to the next in an event loop. I'm sure there are optimizations. Maybe it does run it in an event loop. I'm not sure. I'll take that back. But these asynchronous frameworks are certainly where web engineers are putting time. So it's not a simple answer, to be honest. I believe, from my perspective, Django is a good bet, or FastAPI. But it's really about your career path. And if you're developing a new product or project, you certainly would have the choice of your technologies. But if you just want to get a foot in the door in an existing organization, they've probably already invested in TypeScript, or React. So that would be your kind of choice made for you. You can combine, React and TypeScript with Django. Again, it runs on the server. It doesn't have to render the HTML. So it can be just a backend that that defines an API, a web API, and then returns JSON data. So yeah, but if you're interested in Python and Django, stick here, because that's what I'm doing. And I could also get you along the road with doing API-oriented Python development. I'll link it to this IEEE survey. Language ranking, they call it. Okay, in 2022, they just published this recently. Food for thought. And send. think it works. There it goes. But really for the TLDR, Python is the #1 ranked language from their Spectrum survey. SQL is surprisingly really a high ranking for a job. If you can learn SQL, it's high demand, especially if you want to do interesting things like data engineering, data analytics, and things like that. Which, by the way, if you're interested in those type of things, you really should learn Python. JavaScript and TypeScript do not have a good story for most things beyond front-end clients. And I think that's really about it. Everything else you can do with TypeScript, stuff on the server, but it doesn't really have batteries included. So you have to kind of invent your own story there. And the churn's a bit excessive. So it's not a bad language. The ecosystem just doesn't have a sort of ethos about building things and building up, and it kind of reinvents things very fast. And I understand they're solving maybe different problems or complex problems, but so is Python. Python's doing scientific computations and machine learning and lots of really complicated things, but doesn't kind of throw stuff out and kind of reinvent low-level components. It builds up. You have structured data, put it in a data frame, pandas. Data frames are slow, use Dask, parallelize it, but it's the same interface. Then the machine learning layers are like, okay, well, we know how to work with pandas data frames, cool beans. Now let's just use that data frame layer and parse the data. You can throw the data right into a machine learning algorithm using scikit-learn. Scikit-learn grows, everybody uses that. It's got all sorts of different components for much more than machine learning. Lots of scientific computation, mathematical stuff. So really, Python's an excellent language to learn if you want to do some really interesting stuff and not have to slog through low-level details, inventing everything, or having your foundations being pulled out from under you in like a regular basis. So the ecosystem matters. The language is also important. TypeScript is a good improvement to JavaScript, I suppose, by adding type safety and strictness, but Python also has type annotations, and you can get static type analysis with MyPy. And you can see, even in terms of jobs, according to this survey, Python's ranking higher than JavaScript. So that's, if you want any kind of third-party empirical research, I would say the IEE is a pretty reliable source. Another cool one is called Stack Overflow. And they survey developers and ask questions like, what languages are you using? What frameworks are you using? What do you like? What do you dislike? And, are you just learning to code? What are you going to be interested in? Check this one out too. When you're making your early career choices, check out where the ecosystem is moving. And, you can follow the trends, or you can buckle down and say, hey, I know that Python's a safe and long-term bet. It's mature and stable. That's my opinion. I'm going with that, and I'll find a job in Python. There are jobs there too. Here we're using, this is Fast API for API-oriented stuff. You can see Django is a little bit on the cusp of loved and dreaded. I think because it is so opinionated and people are viewing it as legacy, and it's not developed primarily for web APIs, which a lot of people are putting emphasis on, React.js, but there's a good story for Django and web APIs, similar to Laravel or Ruby on Rails. I believe you should take these seriously. These are all three. Express is much lower level, and honestly, Fast API is fairly low level in terms of what it gives you. It's basically about data coming in and out, ensuring strict typing, and mapping those data to view functions, and there's some helpers there. But beyond that, it doesn't have things like authentication, which I'm in form handling and things, to my knowledge at least, which I'm really benefiting from in Django. And let's get back to this code. So yeah, I hope that's giving you some good information to go with and form your own opinion. So it looks like this, as long as I get the crispy forms tags import correct, and choose your own adventure. And if you want, you can start your own project and go your own route using your own technologies. But please try to avoid inventing things for the sake of doing it. Try to put your energy into creating your unique value. If there's already web frameworks that can give you something to stand on to bring your vision to life, you don't need to invent the easel or the canvas. Just use an existing easel and canvas and bring your vision to life. Where is my page? Oh, 127. Okay, so let's see. Did we get something? Crispy form tags. It was crispy forms tags, double underscore there. That makes sense. Here we go. Reset password. Enter your email below to receive a password reset confirmation. Boom. Reset. Okay, and then we got a form, so I have to wrap that in form tags. Post here. I think that default action is just here, but. And that brings me to an important question. Developer Pro, if you're still around, what are you interested in building? What kind of projects would you like to work on? That should have been my first question before I kind of went through the broader sort of conversation around industry trends and preferences. What do you want to build? And let's see, this would be a button type, submit. And by the way, when you do use a mature framework, that includes web standards, you get a lot of benefits. You're using things like type hints, your code, you get more, it can be auto-completed. You have, very familiar conventions that you might not get defining your own standards and your own conventions. So like this auto-completion is handy, and it's from a project called Emmet, and it can be auto-completing HTML or many other languages. Similarly, my IDE knows how to auto-complete particular Django components because Django has conventions and I'm not inventing my own web framework. So I can actually get some interesting ergonomics by using what people have invented rather than falling into this not invented here syndrome. You might have heard of this, which is the tendency to basically say, oh, that we didn't come up with that idea, so we won't use it. I believe that's my avoid using things from external origins. It would be like saying, oh, I'm not going to use Django or Fast API because somebody else is making that, or I can't control the way it evolves and things like that. Well, save some time and use Django or Fast API. Class equals button success. Boom. And it needs some text. Here's an example of I just typed the word translate, and it keeps me from tripping over my fingers. Yeah, so you've done some basic create, read, CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete, API integration projects with Django, and I really want to be a backend dev. Just love solving problems. Yep, that sounds like me too. I like to solve real world problems and not framework world problems, right? I think there's a distinction to be made there. In other words, I like to think and solve problems at the level of the business need or the user need, and not have to kind of fight my tooling. Be like, why isn't my linter working with my test framework? I just installed a date formatter. Like, what? Now, I'd say that the Python ecosystem is without dependency issues, but certainly, every language has its fair share of issues. So yeah, what kind of problems do you like to solve? Just whatever the company is, or are there any particular sort of problem domains like healthcare or transportation. There's a lot of interesting problems to solve, I suppose. Almost any industry. So you could be pretty versatile just with that mindset of problem solving. So there's the form in action. So now let me just set the Django email backend to console. That's the word. So I'm going to just leverage the Django built-in views that already have email sending. I don't want to write my own code at all. I'm pretty lazy because it saves some time and prevents errors. But it's nice to know that if and when I need it, Django lets me send a mail. And if I don't want to use the Django core send mail function, I can probably use just any arbitrary Python library in a regular view. So Django really quickly and easily gets out of your way when you're ready. But it does a lot of stuff for you, mostly by default. And learning the defaults is the tricky part. Learning how it works by default and leveraging the defaults. Sometimes it's easier to say, well, I'll just write my own custom view function for this, rather than kind of dig into the docs, because admittedly the docs are thorough. Like I'm just wanting to do one thing about console-based backend, because I know it has that there. So that's the line of code I wanted to copy and paste. Hey, nice Naya, welcome. Django is an email service that prints to console. Very cool. It just writes emails that would be, instead of sending out real emails to console back, and just writes out the emails that would be sent to standard output. Yeah, so I think where do I just add this to my core settings for now, and as we get into production mindset, I'll need to set up an SMTP service for this to work. That's what I'm saying. It's going to add a little bit of complexity, but for the time being, I am just going to, since it's auth related, I will just sort of, well, it's everything related. Every email we would want to send, come to think of it, but not sure where to lump it in. Actually, let's do this. So yeah, for the time being, I'm going to put it here and figure out a better way of handling it between development and production. So okay, so yeah, now we've got this, as nice Naya pointed out, so kindly pointed out, we were going to use this backend. So if I just put, well, I think, let's see, when the emails are obfuscated, or what do we got here? Here's one. So I'm just using my main email here. And let's minimize this and watch the console over here. I send that, CSR, of course. So this is another thing. Django prevents me from having insecure forms. Nothing. Whoops. And the autocomplete gave me the correct tempo tags. So let's try this again. If I cancel that, just reload. Send password reset email. Boom. Oh. This is what they were struggling with in the other pull request. Okay, so we're going to have this field. What I did in our user model for context, I didn't want the default Django user model. It has a bit too much, like it has a first name and last name, and is staff and stuff. So what I've had to do is implement these other defaults. Is active. So I used the abstract base user, which is just really not much, just a password and a last login. But it does come with is active. Wait a minute. But it sets it to true by default. into a field because it's not behaving like a field now. Okay, let me think here for a second. So we will need to add it as a field. What I'll do is essentially so using the default form. Let's see. So our default views, it's gonna try to maybe check if they're active, or what's it trying to do even? Alright, so I'll add the default field is active. I'll set it to true, which is what they're basically doing here, but it's not treating it as a field. Is it because my user was created before I started inheriting from abstract-based user? I don't think so. Let's check it out. Let's check my user. So if I open a new tab, strange. First one, me dot is active is true. See? Weirdness. Abstract-based user is a little more stressful than abstract user. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing that. Let's see. Well, if I inherit from abstract user, what's it gonna do? I'll have to null. The first name and last name field at the very least. Because I don't want those. Username, first name, last name. And we don't want to get full name because it's first name and last name. Or short name. I'm not sure how often we would use these email. Why? Okay, user navigator. Huh. Yeah, this project's been pretty far along. So the migrations for accounts were there when I blame myself here. Where's the git blame? I don't have to think I have a blame installed. I guess this initial migration. 9 months ago, and 9 days ago. That's confusing. Oh, because I linted it. I ran black on these 9 days ago. Here it was. So yeah, I mean, this migration happened a while ago. So I don't understand. I would prefer not to use abstract user. I don't know that I need most of what it offers. And what I've needed to offer, I've kind of brought over. I just don't understand why. Why the user instance doesn't have this field. But I guess that meant that I had to define this custom user manager too, which seems kind of unnecessary. I'm not saying I've made all the best decisions along the way. But yeah, see, all we really need is an email and a display name. I'm not so much interested in first and last name. You know, people can put whatever as long as they're. In this project, we want companions to help care for a friend or a loved one, or they can be employed by friends and loved ones of the person. But in any case, we're minimizing the amount of personal information we collect for privacy reasons and compliance in the European Union. You want to minimize what you require and what kinds of information and the amount of information, personally identifiable information, that you keep. So display name is sufficient in that case. Okay. And you know, I've got a helper on here. Well, actually, what if I just do this? I'm surprised that didn't happen already, but abstract base user has essentially added is active true. Maybe this didn't come over and I just need to add that. We don't have an email activation step. I mean, an account activation step. Makes sense. Now, will that give me the property? Let's see. Maybe that'll just work. Run server. Because again, when I inspected my own user, this is the weird thing. Is active as true on my user, so I don't see why I would need to shadow that here. So weird. But it's probably a nuance that Django is looking for a field. So the way it's probably fetching that field is not just accessing the attribute. This is maybe not a keyword is active in the field. And maybe there's some special way Django is excluding other members. Let's activate companions through display name, emails, groups, ID, stuff. Alternatively, I could add this as a field and default it to true. It seems weird to have to do that. Maybe this is an example of why the abstract base user is a little bit of a hassle. Really hasn't been so bad so far. Let's try that now. So if I just go back here and run that again, run the server, close this shell. For whatever reason, and then my email. It could be that the user couldn't be found, but that's a different use case. So yeah, there it worked. Okay. Abstract base user. No, 27.08 on team. Okay. Yeah, that's some room for improvement, but check it out. All right, I like this. So now if I open this in browser, I'm gonna have to take a quick break. And cool, we're off to the races. Let's keep moving forward with these templates. And yeah, I'll have to define the email template. Okay. No worries. And I wonder if localization would work in that case, or if we would have that later. Or if there's a property where it gets that 127 team message from. Yeah, just whatever the URL is. All right, so we want this one. It's really just the same. All right, we're done here. That's a proper field now. Django's excluding other member properties like methods. So the password, it just takes a form and a message. We probably want a message here, yeah, and a title. So it's kind of the same as this. Clean that up a bit. Email sent. So yeah, yeah, I did notice I skimmed over block content. Translate. Oh boy. I see something about the emit thing. But there's only one line in the emit. Oh, nothing. Not sure. No QA this one. Whoa. Alright, so there's that. This one. I need to load I18 in there. Localization strings won't work. Anything else? Now this one I need to load I18 in and load crispy forms tags because I'm using crispy here, and that'll be this field, this page. So that'll essentially be, ooh, that's broken. So let's go back again to, oh, that's why I didn't save it. No, I did save it. Okay, that was a different link. So this should now, oh, okay. I got these order all mixed up. I'll be right back. I'm gonna refresh my tea and get my mind about these. They're very similarly named. There's a 4-step process here. I need to make sure I've got the right understanding of which steps along the way, which URL should be rendered, and what template should render at that URL, in other words. I'll be right back. Okay, I've drank about a liter of tea. Let's continue. We're really close here. I might, I'll probably do the email template. Let's step back again. Whoa, I've got something going wrong here. So these view names are a bit confusing. First, you see the password reset view, which I've created a template called password reset and it's in URL. It displays a form that lets you put your email in. Then we should see this. Well, essentially, the email was sent. Let me just double check the flow here. So we'll go to password reset. Whoa. Lets you enter your email. Then, where does it go when I click submit? It goes to done. Okay. So the password reset view leads to the password reset complete view. All right. That's a bit, so initiated, password reset initiated would be a better name. There's probably some legacy reason for that. So then the password, well, I click this, let's, or is it somehow that I've, in my session, maybe, I think that's, gosh, oh wait a minute, so, password reset complete, should actually be password reset email sent. I'm just, for the sake of my sanity, going to swap these. Make sure I understand it correctly. I'm not complaining. I know there's been incremental improvements here, but these could be more obvious. All right, so now we got the password reset done, which is actually password reset initiated, right? In fact, I'm going to call it that for my own sanity, or email sent. Actually, that's what I had done previously. Yes, then you get to email, which was up here. Which takes you to the, set password. Okay. So this view is redirecting. Password reset confirm. Maybe I'm running. I've got too many tabs. Too many tabs open. So this one's working, I'm going to close it. This one's working, I'm going to close it. These, not so much. In particular, this password reset confirm view, it's redirecting. Full name of a template to display a confirmed password view. Actually, I should just stick with the conventions and use their naming conventions or password reset confirm. Perfect. Although, well, the URLs will be a little bit different. Password reset confirm will be a registration. It's a bit of a head scratcher, but it's cool. It's cool. I'm not like stressed or anything. I'm just having to really pay attention to details. This is cool. These are good details to learn. Enter your email below. Whoa, whoa. Oh, man. Reset. And I'm getting a bit tired. I drank a liter of tea. You'd think I'd have more focus. Oh, man. Oh, you know why? Yeah. Cool. That said, this whole thing is going to go in password reset confirm, which is the default for so yeah, I've got the console backends configured using the documentation here. A few readmes, but I'm not quite using those. That would be more. I might come back though on this email one. So let's leave that one open. That was a good one. The email template. This one defines its own form. Yeah, so if I do, when I do deploy this, I'll need to configure all this as environment variables. And that means I'll have to figure out a transactional email service. So I can't just, I can't just merge this and deploy it off the bat. They're defining a custom view there. This, at least I'll check this out. I'll leave that one open. All right, so we got the password reset confirm view. Now, I'm gonna close GitHub. All right, I'm losing focus here. So let's say password reset. watch down here, put in my email. Then we get a password changed. Password reset done. Okay, well, let's look at password reset done. Password reset done. It's jumping stack. Okay, it's forwarding it to the it's either going to look for a name or a URL to redirect it to. So that's where I'm going wrong. Okay. Give me an example of the URLs. Goodness gracious. Yep. So I just need to use their URLs and see I'm even breaking convention here. I'm using hyphens instead of underscores. Alright. Weird. So password reset. Should be password reset. Password reset done. Password reset done. And here I'm using the same path, so it could just be redirecting the path in the case where I can't find the name that matches. Password reset. Done. Password reset confirm. This the confusion here for me is just the difference between done and complete, honestly. I think this is otherwise very straightforward. So this is actually what I'm intending to be complete. And this one I'm actually intending to be the done. The email sent, that's the difference for me. The email sent is actually that it's been initiated. The password reset is not done though. That's the misnomer. Okay, let's see if it gets the right redirect now. Otherwise I will use exactly, nope, exactly the paths. You have to use exactly the paths, you can't deviate. Or you have to write your own views. Oh, okay. This is an example sort of the framework getting in the way a bit, but it's not so bad. So this account's reset done. So everything here is prefixed with accounts. We just need reset done. Cool. All right, then this reset is reset. Now that's working. Password reset done. Instead of email sent, it's just done. Cool, cool. And then, I mean, for consistency, it'll be password reset. Then they're using change and change done. Sorry, reset done. Reset, password reset done. Reset done. All right. And then done and complete. Now let's see if it works. So somehow I was like halfway there. Reset, email. Check your email for a thing. All right, good. Got that, and here's the thing. And this is not working. Okay, we're making progress. So So for some reason, this confirm view is redirecting to the Django password reset. Yeah. Okay. One thing. Then my URL I can simplify my URL structure now, because for whatever reason it's not enjoying that. So by using the default templates for all of these default template names, version password reset complete. Honestly, at this point, I don't care about the ambiguity. I just want the thing to work. So wherever I'm rendering password reset complete, view reset email send, I'm calling it. Delete that. Put that there. Delete email sent, because it's empty now. So confirmation, enter new password. This is empty, so it can be deleted. Now, registration, accounts. Oh, sorry, this was registration. URLs. So accounts, password reset. Okay, so this no longer needs an email. A lot of the details. It'd be nice if my boilerplate just did this for me. Accounts, password reset. Boom, right here. Instead, it should not take template name argument and should use the password reset view. As whatever the default is, password reset form.html. This is how to follow exactly the Django way of doing it. I believe this is now unneeded. And the final one is password reset complete. Save that. Password reset complete.html. What the dingle dongle did I do? Alright, sorry for all this confusion. This has got to be straightforward. Once I get it. Very cool. So there's no success URL shown after user has been mailed any link. Password reset done. Unless the password reset view has an explicit success URL, which it doesn't. Very cool. Oh man, I got everything worked out, it feels like. Yes, doing things exactly the way they should be done. Oh man. Alright, so now we gotta see my login view is here. When I click login, it lets me render mine. Account / login. You know what? This might be a case. I'm defining. Let me check my base URLs. This is certainly confusing. No. Wait a minute. This is not Django accounts. This is my account URL. That's good. Auth URLs. Oh, Nikes. That's where we're having problems. That's where the problem's going wrong. Since I'm overriding these URLs, there was a bit of a collision there. Well. Now nothing in accounts should point to the auth URLs. It should be mine. Only mine. So, or even then, if I just define these templates, I should use those over the internal Django ones. I'm at a loss here. I follow the exact naming conventions. So starting here, there's probably other URLs that it's including in here. If I just include the templates, getting there is so slow right now. Auth views. So yeah, Django country be auth views. Basically, that's what these URLs are going to be. All right, so we got password reset view, add password reset accounts, password reset. So this is all mine. Again, if I say anything in their accounts, it's going to run my accounts URLs. So accounts URLs right here. Boom. So I'll just go there, one step to the right. Then you hit password reset. Bing. Right here. Password reset is using the password reset view. If I inspect that, the default. Template name. So registration, password reset form.html registration. So let's see if this is correct. Rename. That's looking good. Password reset form.html. Maybe I've got a typo. I have a typo on all of these. Password reset form. .html. Yes. Now it's a change in the file system. Strange. this. Mm-hmm. All right, here's the strange bit. And actually, it's just kind of reminding me. Since I commented out the default Django URLs, the login form broke. All right, so there's that. Problem is I need to include a couple like a sign up, but there's probably a way for that. Man. All right, so let's do something on the login page. Let's add a link to the forgot password, which is the text of forgot password, translated text. Right, forgot password, reset password. And that needs to go to cool. Now the weird thing is when I put a login folder, login template in the in this right place, the registration folder, it knows to use that, even though I haven't explicitly defined that view or that URL and slash view. The whole thing is just working. All right. Add sign up and profile. Sign up's a different thing. There may or may not be a Django sign up view by default. Now with these other ones, when I'm using the default template name, registration password reset done, it's not picking those up. this again is after just completely removing the work I've done on defining unnecessary routes. I'm just using, all I want to do is override the template, that's it. I'm not even checking the functionality. I'm going to have to take a break from this strangeness. Is that complete? Maybe things will work. I'll commit these changes and push them. I think they're on the right path. Can't remember if I changed this or not. This is it. Password reset one. And my templates are registered in the root directory with subdirectory registration. That's why the login worked. Just gonna do these one more time. Work my way up instead of down this time. Whoops, password changed. Hey. That was a genuine improvement. Now we'll make sure all the template names match. Password change form. Cool. Yes, this is it, just oversight on my part. I'm pretty sure it's user error. Nice. Let me just check something if it's got a login. Now it's we got a login view, and a little table of contents here would actually be super nice. That included these view names. That's what I'm saying. All right. So back to the views. Oh yeah, business program. So you can see how much I'm struggling to do a basic task of reading docs and following instructions. Can you imagine if I tried to invent my own framework? All right, here we are, the views. Yes. So I've got some stuff in my own accounts views, a couple of those. We're going to define the password reset related ones. We've already got a login view. And simply defining the templates. Class, looking for class. Logout view, already got that. We're just using that via a link. Yeah, here we go. Password change view, got that in another pull request. Password change done view, which kind of means all we need to do is define these templates in the right location. We don't even need to write the URLs. This is great. Password reset view, here we are. Allows a user to reset their password by generating a one-time use link that can be used to reset their password and sending that link to the user's registered email address. This view will send an email if the following conditions are met. The email address is provided it exists in the system. Request user is active, so that's where we were having problems earlier. Checking if for that field, which was just a property on the model, the user model. Seems almost like a bug in Django to me. Like they intended to set the default value to true on the abstract base user, but the way it checks for the field is excluding that property. Not a big deal. Now I know. So this is the one, and just gonna, if they have an okay, so we're not using external sources, but you can prevent users from setting passwords in Django. All right, cool. So this is the one that renders the form. Password, now it should be to play password reset form. Boom. Yes. And this form says, hey, enter your email below to receive a password reset confirmation. You enter the email, it runs through the checks. I've got this name right, but boom, got that one. Yes, yes. This is gonna work. Password reset, done. The page shown after the user has been emailed a link to reset their password. This view is called by default if the password reset view doesn't have an explicit success URL. Since I'm not defining the password reset view, it's going to use this flow. This should be password reset done. And the template should be password reset done. Password reset done. Now send. Check your email. All right. I don't know how I got so confused here, but there it is. Password reset, password change, password change. All right. Password reset confirm view presents a form for entering the new password. So that will be called password reset confirm. Password reset. Well, it'll have an enter new password. That's this one. Password reset confirm. No problem. It's no problem. Just being very careful. Password reset complete view. Password reset complete. Displays a message. Successfully changed. Oh yeah. Looking good. Now we've got it. Boy, just attention to detail. That's one of the things that, you know, probably many of us struggle with in life. Especially when there's so many details that need to be documented, and that's why these tutorials are very helpful as well. But now I think we're good to go. So I'm going to reset my password. So if I go to the login page, I forgot my password. Yes. Wait a minute. Now I just double checked everything here. So the first step in the process is the reset view. Let me just, I'm gonna really have to stop. This is going too long. I'm just doing something silly. I'm making a mistake here. The first step is accounts password reset, right? Accounts password reset. So they call that password reset view. Allow a user reset their password. Template name is registration password reset form.html. Password reset form.html does exist in registration. Enter your email below. What if Django's not? Well, it has to be finding this because the login form works. This would be absurd, but I can remove the virtual environment and reinstall it, and you know, it's like unplug it and plug it back in. looking for the URLs. Yeah. Wondering, you know, I did sort of a kludgy thing with my base URLs, which hasn't bitten me so far. When I scroll back over to base URLs, I'm using 2 accounts prefixes, but it should just like look for mine. If it can't find a match, move on to the Django contrib auth URLs. And all I've defined here, I don't have the login form, the login view defined, and the login has to be in here. So there's that, and the login, you know, finds this login template. It's there, renders it correctly. Let's get views. This is deep in the heart of Django. At this point, I'm pretty sure I've got the template names correct. All right, so we got this. One more try though, and I'm going to call it quits for today. Accounts, password reset. Accounts, password reset. Accounts, password reset. Password reset view. That maps to password reset. Well, I could check. I can see why this would be problematic though if I define the same URLs here and import the account URLs. I should probably do either or and get myself out of this bind. Okay. So basically I'm gonna disable the auth URLs, switch completely over to my own URLs so that things will work out. Then over my URLs, I'm going to, good grief, my mouse is dragging stuff. I'm getting a bit frustrated, it shows. Let's see. There we go. Looking good. looking good. Now let's go to the login view. Oh, wait. Should be trailing slash. Cool. Yeah, shouldn't. Okay. Oh, wait. Yeah, no problem. Shouldn't have them defined twice. Lesson learned. Boom. Hard reload that. There we go. Log out view. Dude. I'm going to just go and make some music shortly. Relax. Oops, there we go. Refresh. Login view. Yeah, alright. Cool, we're moving fast and breaking stuff. So the next we'll need that password reset view. Cool. So we'll go back to our cores. I'm gonna clean that up in a minute. Do things properly. So the next path will be and it was looking for password reset. So let's look for password reset. Counts. Password reset. Cool. Now actually we need is this with trailing slash, I think. So auth use password. This is where I need to. Equals and follow convention. Yeah, overall this is a good improvement to the project. I'm encountering my own foot gun of defining the same endpoints for these URLs. So this is not the fault of Django per se. This is very well documented. It's quite verbose and a bit overwhelming, but yeah, nonetheless, it's working. And this is the frustrating part though. What's going on here? I swear I'm doing this right. It should take the default name, right? Default. Password reset form, right? Registration, password reset form. This should be unnecessary right here. But let's try it. Counts password reset form. Cool. There's some risk of typos. Yeah, there we go. All right, moving right along. The next view to define. So that says I'm going to delete this. I'm just sidestepping it. It's strange. It's a strange thing that I'm doing. So then that was send you into the password reset done view. Very cool. for that, we need a password reset done. And for that, just put this here. We need, I'm going to put these in the order of the password reset flow. New path, password reset, done. Password reset, done view. And it'll be accounts, password reset, done. Saved it. Password reset, done. Step through this. Yeah. Okay. Right. Oh, man. Yeah. So I can't do this without having it done. Makes sense. Password reset confirm. Got it. I got it. Yeah. All right, and then I just realized what I was doing wrong earlier. I think part of the problem was that I wasn't doing this properly. Good grief. Such a simple thing. Actually, that is correct. I'm assuming. I don't think I need to ask any special handler. I should just know. Alright, so then very, very carefully here. Password reset done view goes to the password reset confirm view, which renders password reset confirm. This is probably part of the issue as well, man. But just try to be persistent. Power through. This is interesting. Oh, probably because I did that typo. Oh man, yes. I like it when I know what I did wrong. Yes. When it's very obvious. When it's very obvious what I did wrong. Boom. All right. Yep, that worked. And then I'll just do this one. Well, that's it. All right, try it again. Log in. I've forgotten my password. Gonna get a confirmation email. Ooh, okay, here it is. Reset. And then I'll click it. There it goes. Now the new password. Super secret 123. Set new password. Password changed successfully. Okay. That's okay. That's surprising though. Our login. Little errors, little strangeness. This is another problem. Yeah. For consistency, I'm going to move everything over there or back into this original location. Comes login. And then, yeah, okay, so there's some remnants. That's cool, that makes sense. Sometimes there'll be like these percolated errors. So hopefully that'll just work. So now if we go back to our home, render everything. Okay, there's log out, log in. Accounts login does not exist, although account login. Good grief, I'm my worst enemy. All right. Boom. Log out. Log in. Forgot password. Yeah, the whole thing works, right? What I'm gonna do though is tempt fate. Control, click, open. Super secret password. Log in. Super secret password. All right, cool. And here's how I'm going to tempt fate. Everything is working. So any sane person would walk away right now after 3 hours, 13 minutes. 1 hour was spending peer reviews. 2 hours, it's really not so bad. You know, most of the problem here was me. It's not Django, it's me. So what I'm going to do is a test. I'm going to do a test. Right now, the only thing here is sign up. Which I'm not even sure it'll work. That works. I'm either going to have everything in accounts or everything kind of in registration. Yeah, I don't need to have both of them. Now the convention with Django is registration. The app is called accounts. All of these, well, these are account related deals. Registrations kind of makes sense. Sign up in the registration deal. There. Here, it's when you're actually registering. Maybe I'll leave well enough alone. Really, all of these should live under registration because I'm just using the default Django views and I'm overriding the template names because of some weirdness. And I think that weirdness was me, to be honest. I think now that all the names are correct, I can do like this. Let's see. Leave the login for a minute. Well, no, let's do it on all of them. Let's do it on all of them. Oh boy, you're asking why are you doing this to yourself? Yeah, because I'd like just slightly cleaner code. You see the sign up is in registration sign up. So here, as I go login, one at a time, I'll just do one at a time so I don't get too carried away. Copy. Copy it, but my cursor's probably right on there. Paste. All right. So that's login. Check. Working. Login. Log out. Doesn't need a template. Password reset view. Accounts. Password reset view. Can't find a template. No, I used the default. Cool. But the template is password reset form. If I'm just copy, paste. All right, now we've got our own. Restart the server so it picks up changes in the file system. Registration password reset form. Financial care, people, login, reset password. There shouldn't be any reason that this matters. Clear the browser cache. Yeah, that's the weird thing. That's the weird thing. So I think half of it's me. Let's be charitable. 90% of it's me, but there's some kind of weirdness here. Because again, I'll double check this. View in the URLs is rendering the password reset view, right? And I'll double check this file name, password reset form. The template name is password reset form. Yeah, this is where I was earlier. All right, so now I know. Revert these changes. I'm gonna commit this. The only other mystery, and maybe I'll just, for consistency, sign up view, delete that. Login view, delete that. Things are working. We made progress, worked through the challenges, got to a stopping point. Sometimes it's, you got to kind of give up for the day and come back to it with fresh eyes. Sometimes you can work through it. So the only thing, just for consistency's sake, sign up. Well, in this case, let's move it to be really confident that it worked. That worked. That way, everything's in accounts. I'm being explicit where it's living, and I'll get rid of this registration folder. All right, so there we go. A bunch of changes. So let's do a recap. Just freshen my mind for a moment. I'm going to recap. I'm going to go through all the files we basically added and changed. I'm going to open them up. I'm going to show a demo of the work in progress. Mostly use the Django docs, which are really top notch, top tier. There's no doubt about it. We're going to open up GitHub. We're going to have 2 GitHub tabs open. For my issue and this issue. Then we'll come over to code. And essentially, I'm going to go through the files that I created. The login was just a rename. Password reset complete, password reset confirmation, password reset done, password reset form, and sign up. I added a little, or login, I actually added a little something. Settings and URLs. So we got everybody open. Now let's come up with like a, come on. I guess that's the order. Looking good. All right, I'll take a quick break. I have a little bit of tea, got some water out of hot tea, and I'll come back with a fresh mind and go through the changes. But we've got to a really good stopping point here. Things are working. Oops. We'll show where we're at. We'll show a demo of it. Full flow. And run through these open pull request and my task. All right, cool, thanks. Hold on for just one more minute and we'll be right back. Excellent. It was a good session. A bit clutch, a bit uncertain. I didn't know if I should walk away, but we were just real close and pulled through in the end. Okay, let's do a recap. Welcome to a recap of today's Python and Django live code hangout. Today we've been working on the Jerry Live Companionship Care project. We've got 2 features that are under development. Both of them are relating to user passwords. One is the ability to reset your password if you've forgotten it. and the other is the ability to change your password when you're logged in. Let's take a quick look at this task. We've gotten a contributor. Munyao Kelvin has agreed to take this task. They have created a branch and opened up a pull request. Thank you very much, Munyao, for your work in progress. We did review the pull request at the beginning of this session. I'll just show you basically how PR review works. There it goes. Essentially, it's an issue with changes, with files that changed. And, we make these changes in commits, like little changes a little bit at a time. And a commit is just a bit of text that changed. It's kind of describing what specifically changed, what was added, what was removed. So Munyao changed 17 files in this pull request and made 6 commits to those files. As a reviewer, my responsibility is to take a bird's eye view of the work and make sure it's following project conventions, maybe is not using excessive code or leaving out aspects, overlooking details that could lead to bugs. As a developer, we often get so kind of fixated on the code right in front of us because it's very brittle. We get very fixated on it and work through basic things like semantics or how to solve the problem. And in doing so, we can miss the bigger picture. That's why pair programming and peer review are, I think, essential parts of the programming workflow. At least peer review, but in my book, pair programming is really important as well. So in the peer review process, my first kind of task is to take a high-level look at the code just from a kind of on the surface level, noticing if there's any things that are like unneeded, like code here that could be removed, or important things like localization that could be overlooked when you're just trying to add a feature. You could easily forget a detail like adding the translate tag around any user-facing text so that we can localize everything. So the reviewer can remind the person to do those. In essence, though, this contribution, pull request 72 for the reset password, it's working. It's a good solution. I think follows a lot of the Django conventions. It leverages the Django framework. And the kinds of comments I was leaving were really low level, almost lint, but we have a linter for that. Things like spacing or using double quotes instead of single quotes, which is a Pythonic convention. The linter kind of catches those. I caught some other lint, like files that we didn't need, or that we didn't need to put this new feature for account password reset in its own app. We could rather just put it in the accounts app. Stuff like that, moving stuff around, and some linting that that wasn't caught. Mostly localization. So these are details again that are easy to overlook. Here's the current code. It's got some user-facing text in English. We want to be able to translate that to other languages. So again, this is a good pull request. The main issues are really low level, like lint and organization stuff. We'll probably be able to merge this really soon. So again, Munyao, thank you very much for your contribution. I hope you take my comments here as constructive, and they're in no way critical or criticizing your code. It's just part of the process. It helps ensure and encourage higher quality in the code base. So in parallel, I've been working on a password reset feature, and the password reset is slightly more complex than just changing a password. And in both of these cases, though, there are edge cases and nuances that we, as product developers, we're developing a product, we probably don't want to have to consider, things like hashing passwords or security. or what the flow should be, how an email flow should happen when you're resetting your password. So for those types of things, we turn to a robust batteries included framework. Now, in our case, we're using Django, but there's other examples. Ruby on Rails comes to mind, Laravel, and the PHP ecosystem. Those are frameworks that I've encountered. So since we're in the Python ecosystem, Django is one of the top tier ones. So we're going to just use its features to the best of our ability. So as a working example, here's our app. Boy, that blasted out things. So we're going to come back over here and make it a little dimmer and be able to view the code side by side with the changes. But more importantly, we're going to have to look down here in just a moment. So the use case here is somebody has forgotten their password and needs to log in. I get to the login screen, but I'm like, oh man, I've tried 5 passwords. What was it? Well, there's typically a link for that. So you forgot your password. You click the link. It prompts you to enter your email address in order to reset your password. So I'll send a password reset email. Then behind the scenes, Django, when I submit that form, runs a few validations, and if they pass, it'll send me an email. Now for the time being, I'm just receiving the email down here in the terminal. I've got it configured to send it only to the console. As a follow-up task, I'll have to think about how we will be handling emails in our beta version of this, basically in the cloud, or that's running on a server right now. I'll have to do a little bit of research, and I might do that on stream and show some of the steps that go into deploying an application in a cloud service and configuring environment variables for things like other service integrations, in this case a transactional email service. But here we are, I've received this email in my terminal here, subject password reset on 127.0.0.1. That's where my code is running on my localhost, stuff like that. It can be improved later, but right now the fact is that it works, and I can change this template probably in a follow-up email, follow-up session. So when you click on this link, it opens in your new tab in your browser and displays a template with a form. Enter your new password. Well, let's just put in my super secret, super secure password with my banking credentials. Set the new password. All right, so there we go. Now I can log in with my new password essentially. Yeah, and in the process of this task, I had some surprising difficulties. Most of the difficulties was me not paying attention to details, which is probably characteristic of me. But there was I think I encountered a little bug in Django. Nonetheless, it was overall a good experience. I didn't feel, when you're developing, there's often stress and uncertainty and frustration. So I admit feeling all of those emotions, but I pulled through it. You develop a little resiliency to that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the code. And basically, again, I'm leveraging Django as much as possible, but there's some ways that I had to kind of deviate from the Django conventions in the way that I organize files specifically. That led to a few extra lines, a few extra characters of code, but it's manageable and hopefully won't be too confusing for other contributors. So what we have is an app called Accounts in our project. We have some other apps here. In our Accounts app is where we have the model, like the user model. And we'll come to this in just a moment. And we have views. Now, typically you can define your own views, but in this particular case where we're doing account-related things, due to the complexity of account-related functions, sign in, sign up, sign out, reset password, Django provides those for us. So awesome, we're just going to use those. So first thing I do from Django contrib auth, it wasn't part of core at one point, I guess it was contributed. I import all of their class-based views. views. So that means I don't have to write any view code. So we didn't touch views.py, fortunately. Then we have a series of paths here. Now, previously, we've defined sign up and profile paths. Today, we touched on some templates relating to login, but here's the paths we added. These are coming straight from the Django documentation pretty much. Ended up just going word for word what they said, names, paths, everything, template name, everything except the template directory. They keep the Django default location. It looks for these templates is in registration / template name. I had a weird experience with one of the views. It wouldn't find my template that was in registration / template name, even though it had as far as I understood, the exact same name. Again, that could be a mistake I was making, but I'm pretty sure it was I was very careful to copy and paste and make sure the name was exactly the same. So we defined a password reset view that renders the Django auth password reset view. So this is a route that renders the view that uses our password reset template. This is the exact pattern I went through down here, and we'll take a look at the templates in just a moment. But we needed a password reset view. Then when you reset your password, so the first thing you see, this is the password reset view. It prompts you to enter your email. Then, this was a little bit confusing. Then it says password reset done. This was one that was throwing me a bit, just the semantics. My password hasn't really been reset, but an email has been sent. Renders this template, and the names are basically the same. Then, in my email, if you recall, I get this funny URL, account / reset / user ID in base 64 encoding. My user ID is number 1, but in base 64, it's MQ. All right, cool. And then the token. This is like a randomly generated token. Probably has a temporary lifespan. I didn't write any of this code, so I don't know, but I trust that Django is mature enough and has been kind of battle tested enough that the developers kind of have learned from lessons and know what they're doing, which saves me from making mistakes, because I had a lot of mistakes I was making just in copying and pasting and overlooking details. Copy and paste mistakes are very common, so don't feel, there's no shame in the game. But when we do copy and paste code, also we want to pay attention to detail and kind of at least understand the code. And so, we'll make mistakes. That's okay. So yes, when I click on this link that's generated with my user ID in this super secret code, it opens in a new tab. So yeah, there we go. And redirects me to set password view, which renders this. So that happens really fast, but I clicked the link, it redirected me and renders this template, which is my enter new password template. We'll take a quick look at the templates in just a moment. I suppose I could have looked at them while we were doing it. And then when I submit my new password, renders final view, password reset complete view. So if you just stick with the naming conventions and everything, you should be good to go. I recommend actually putting the templates in a different folder, like accounts, in your templates folder. But you can keep them named the same as Django. Again, it could have been maybe a typo I was making, but there was a weird gotcha I encountered. One kind of nuance in this pull request, I had to add an actual field to the user model. I'm inheriting here in our project from the abstract base user, and in the abstract base user, there's a property is active. That's just used for whether or not a user has registered and clicked an activation link sent to their email typically. Now, there's a subtle nuance between class properties or model properties and fields in Django. And for whatever reason, when I tried to initiate the password reset form, I would input my email address and submit the form. It couldn't find this field. A field, like a proper field, is active. So somehow it was excluding this is active base class property. Maybe it's something to do with my inheritance order, come to think of it. I'm not sure exactly. But in order to move on, I just added that field as a proper field. I'll take a look at the inheritance order though, now that I think about it. Cool. Yeah, so that's the base user Pi. All right, then the only other kind of change I made today was a setting that in order to experiment with these emails, I wanted to be able to see them and don't want to have to set up an SMTP service. I just want to see them in my console. So in Django, you configure your email backend, and it has a built-in mail backend that just puts it to the console. If you want to have a proper SMTP, you'll need a few other settings. But again, in this session, I'm working locally. In a later session, I'll be looking more to conditionally configuring like an SMTP service. If it were deployed, there will be an environment variable to toggle that. All right, let's take a quick look at the templates. And I should really put these in the order that they are. I kind of just opened up in the order that they came in. So here's the reset password template, and they're very simple and straightforward. One brief note, the login page now has a new link down here. So we just added a link to this password reset view. So you click forgot password, and it'll take you to that view. Blink. Then it's just regular Django template tags. I'm using crispy forms to automatically style the form elements with bootstrap classes. We've got a title, some localized or internationalized text in the heading and body, a form with our CSRF token that's being passed to the Django Crispy Forms plugin that adds bootstrap classes, and then a button that submits the form and has some explanatory text there, and the success color to encourage people to click on it, I guess. All right, so we click that. Email sent. Again, just a Django template tag, internationalization. We're extending our base templates. We get some, elements for consistency across the top, navigation, and another localized text. Very straightforward. Then this email template, I didn't override, so this comes straight from Django core. I'll take a look into that later. Click the link, opens a new tab in our case. Enter new password. Again, just a Django template extending base HTML, loading internationalization, and crispy forms tags because we have a form here. Internationalized texts, form, CSRF, form class passed through the crispy filter, button to submit, and some text to explain what the button's doing. And if I don't have valid form input, you'll automatically get validation with Crispy. This is nice. It saves us a few lines of code. That was one thing I commented in the other pull request, that if we just use Crispy, we don't need really to do anything special with our forms. Validation comes back. The field is rendered. It highlights the one that was where there's an error. It saves a lot of time, especially in the prototype phase. Set new password. One more. Template is rendered. Base HTML, internationalization, some internationalized text. Pretty straightforward at that point. Overall, it's not a huge pull request. I'm going to commit these changes. I basically changed 13 files. A couple of them are just renaming, and there's a migration in there. Not a lot of lines of code. I'll add a link to the pull request when I open it, I suppose. I'm not sure if I'll be able maybe in the description for this video. But that's it. I don't want to do any coding or other changes during the summary section. This has been another Python and Django live code hangout. If you'd like to get involved with this project, stop by github.com/jerrylive, and we're working in the companionship care. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well out there. Hey, thanks DeepMind, Tigran, Developer Pro, and Nice Naya for stopping by and hanging out during the session and chatting me up. Thanks for everybody else who was viewing the live code session. And feel free to just comment or say anything during the session or add comments to this video. I do like getting feedback, and I appreciate the guidance that people are giving me in the chat, as well as the interesting questions you're bringing up, such as language popularity or how to get a job or what kind of projects to work on. So again, thanks for stopping by to chat. Have a great day. I hope you're doing well out there.